Hey gang, it's Andy Petronic, and I'm back with a new topic for today in the Whole Life Challenge. 3 words: minimum effective dose. Now, you might have heard that phrase before, perhaps in a different context, maybe at your doctor, maybe in the medical profession in general. You see, here's the thing. If you have a condition that a drug might help with, there's a very certain, very specific dose that will be just enough to do the job with nothing left over to waste. Take, for example, a headache. Whatever your preferred headache drug is of choice, there's a very specific amount that were you able to measure exactly, down to the milligram, it would do the job. Any less than that, it wouldn't do it, wouldn't cut it, wouldn't get rid of the headache, and any more than that would just be a waste. Imagine being able to determine that exact amount, and then being able to cut up a pill to the exact size. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. It's not going to happen. So instead, what we do is we take an amount that's way over and above the amount that we actually need. We want to be sure. We want to be sure the headache is gone. We carpet bomb it instead of going for a little strategic strike. Because in this case, we don't really have a choice. Better opt for too much to make sure we knock it out than to give it too little and be stuck with a headache. Right? So, now all of that you took probably wasn't necessary. It was overkill, which could over time cause side effects that we'd rather avoid. So if you can do it, you always want to take the minimum effective dose. Makes perfect sense. Take exactly the right amount to do the job. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, if you think about this in context of the rest of your life, wouldn't it make sense to do that everywhere? To do what is required to give you the effective result you want, to get the job done, to do nothing more but nothing less. The mistake most of us make is that when we go into project mode, when we find an area that we want to make a change in, for instance in our health and well-being, we look at how far we are away from where we want to be, and we make one of 2 decisions. The first is the gap between where we are today and where we want to get to is so great, and the change that would be required is so big, and the effort would be so gargantuan that we deem it practically impossible. And so we settle for what we got. We're like, it's not going to happen, so I'm okay with where I'm at. Number 2, we're not really okay, but that's what we say. Number 2, we see the gap just as big as above, but instead of settling, we go for it. We make a change, and we make it big. We take on massive diet, a cleanse, a calorie restriction diet, a change up for a workout program that's an hour or more a day, 7 days a week. We go for a big change, like massive. The thing is, both of these decisions, most of the time, they lead to failure. In case 1, we never start, and so we never really truly get what we want. And in number 2, we make such a big change that a couple weeks in, we can't sustain it. We give up. We decide that we weren't cut out for the changes to begin with. You ever heard of this? Like New Year's resolutions? Happened to me, so I'm sure it's happened to you. A better approach in both these cases would be think minimum effective dose. What's the smallest amount that you need to do to get the ball rolling? It's almost like playing a trick on yourself, asking how little can you get away with and still get the result you want. I've got a few rules to consider when using this approach. Number 1, you've got to be willing to experiment. You're not going to know necessarily whether the small thing you've committed to doing and trying will have the impact you want, but you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to be willing to modify and change it if it's not giving you the result you want. Number 2, you need to commit. No experiment is going to work if you're not committed to sticking with the change over time. Hopefully you've chosen something small enough that it's doable day in and day out. Now you need to set things up in your life so that you remember and you follow through. Number 3, you've got to measure. How in the world would you know you're having an effective amount if you don't know what means success? You've got to need a way to measure your progress. What does progress look like for you? Is it just being successful each day and checking the boxes that you're committed to doing? Or is it actually seeing a result in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a year? Either way is okay, but you've got to decide what's the measurement and what's going to make you feel happy with your progress in however amount of time. Now, I've put together a little 5-part formula for you to use, something that you can think through or write down for anything that you want to use this strategy for. It's about asking yourself these 5 questions each time. And when you do, you'll set yourself up for massive success in this area. Ready? Here's the formula. Number 1, what's the goal? Number 2, what's your strategy? Number 3, what are the daily actions you're going to take to get there? Number 4, how are you going to measure and keep track? And number 5, was it effective? Did it give you the desired result? So rather than talk about all those things, I'm just going to go through some examples with you. So number 1, food. My goal, I want to eat better snacks during the day. So number 2, the strategy. I'm going to get rid of all the crappy snack food in my house. I'm going to make a list of the snacks that I like, that are healthy, that work for me, and I'm going to stock them in my fridge and pantry. Number 3, daily actions. I'm going to eat good snacks each day that are easily available in my house or from the snacks that I take with me to work. Number 4, I'm going to track my success daily in my journal. Did I do it? Yes. Did I not do it? No. And number 5, after 6 weeks, was I able to stick with it? How many days was I successful? How many days was I not? Okay, let's try another example with exercise. Number 1, goal, improve my push-up strength. Number 2, my strategy, I'm going to do at least 20 push-ups every day before 7 a.m. I'm going to put it in my calendar. Number 3, 20 push-ups a day. Number 4, I'm going to do a max set of push-ups today, and then I'm going to do it again in 6 weeks. Each day while I'm doing this, I'm going to keep track of my daily progress. Did I do it? Yes or no? And then in 6 weeks, can I do more push-ups in 6 weeks than I did when I started? Okay, mobility. Goal, improve hamstring flexibility. Number 2, I'm going to do a standing hamstring stretch every evening while I'm watching TV. Number 3, daily actions, 10 minutes a day. Any hamstring I stretch I want to do, and I'm going to do it while watching TV. Number 4, I'm going to measure how far my fingertips are from the floor when I bend over. I'm going to do it at 7 p.m. after work, and I'm going to remeasure this in 6 weeks. I'm going to keep track of doing this work in the journal every day with a yes or a no. And number 5, I'm going to retest in 6 weeks. Am I more flexible? The last one I've got for you is sleep. These should start sounding familiar now. Goal, spend more time sleeping in bed. Number 2, get 15 minutes more of sleep per day by going to bed 15 minutes earlier. Number 3, daily actions. I'm going to set a bedtime alarm that's 30 minutes before the time I should be in bed to remind me to start shutting it down. Number 4, I'm going to write down my bedtime every day, and I'm going to track. Did I succeed? Yes or no? And number 5, at the end, I'm going to count the number of days I succeeded in getting to bed at the earlier time at the end of 6 weeks and see that whether or not this actually worked. So let's recap. Minimum effective dose. When it comes to changing your health, fitness, and well-being, it's the mother lode. This is the way you want to think about doing it. Determine the least amount of action that's required each day to get you the desired result you want. And what do you need to do this? You need a goal, a strategy, a daily action, a measurement, and then you need to be able to go back and ask, did it work? That's my nugget for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's make use of it this week in the Whole Life Challenge. See you guys out there.